while he was married to Demi Moore. He was still sneaking around seeing Britanny.
That's right. While Demi Moore was standing by his side, being the supportive wife, Ashton Kutcher was running back to his ex. But this isn't just a messy affair story. This is the prelude to a death that Hollywood has spent nearly 2 decades covering up.
Around Ashton Kutcher and Diddy before, and they were speaking about Britanny Murphy.
Think about that. Ashton and Diddy were talking about Britanny, planning, discussing. And weeks later, Britanny Murphy was dead at 32. Britanny knew. She was terrified. She told people, and nobody listened. But now, Demi Moore is finally breaking her silence, connecting the dots between Ashton, Diddy, and a conspiracy that goes far deeper than anyone realized. And what she's revealed is about to change everything we thought we knew about Britanny Murphy's death. On December 20th, 2009, Hollywood lost a star it didn't know was dying. Britanny Murphy, the girl who made Clueless iconic, who lit up every screen she touched, who had the kind of infectious energy that made you root for her character no matter what, collapsed in the bathroom of her Hollywood Hills mansion. A frantic 911 call. Paramedics rushing in, Cedars-Sinai Medical Center pulling out every stop. But it was too late. At just 32 years old, Britanny Murphy was pronounced dead. The official cause? Pneumonia, anemia, multiple drug intoxication from over-the-counter and prescription medications. On paper, it sounded tragic, but almost expected. A young woman struggling with illness, no one intervening fast enough. Case closed. Except it wasn't closed. Not for the people who actually knew her.
My daughter's passed out. She was dizzy. She couldn't walk right. She's had a cold. Oh my God.
That's Sharon Murphy, Brittany's mother, in her desperate 911 call. Listen to the panic, the helplessness, a mother watching her daughter slip away. But here's where the official story starts to crumble. Just 5 months later, almost to the exact day, Brittany's husband, Simon Monjack, died in the exact same house from the exact same causes. Pneumonia, anemia, same symptoms, same timeline, same fatal outcome. What are the odds of that? When forensic experts started asking that question out loud, suddenly, the narrative began to shift. People began digging. Investigators started looking deeper. And the more they looked, the more the circumstances surrounding that death began to look less like tragedy and more like something orchestrated, planned, executed. And that's when Demi Moore's revelations started to make sense, because Britanny Murphy's death wasn't just a tragedy. According to Demi, it was the result of a calculated conspiracy involving 2 of Hollywood's most powerful men she had experienced firsthand. Before we talk about what happened to Britanny, we need to understand what Ashton Kutcher did to Demi Moore, because the pattern is everything.
I was not coming with baggage, I had trunks.
The husband she loved had left. Her children weren't speaking to her.
Demi Moore was vulnerable. She had been through hell, a failed marriage, estranged children, the weight of being a Hollywood icon with nowhere to land. And Ashton Kutcher came along looking like a lifeline. When they started dating in 2003, the world went crazy. She was a legend. He was the fresh-faced heartthrob. 15 years separated them, but he seemed to understand her. He loved her kids. He made her feel safe again, or so she thought. What followed was a masterclass in manipulation. Ashton didn't just date Demi Moore. He systematized her. He identified her vulnerabilities and exploited every single one. First came the miscarriage. Early in their relationship, Demi suffered a devastating loss, a pregnancy that ended before it began. For a woman who had already lost so much, this was another wound that never truly healed. And instead of supporting her, Ashton let it create a rift between them. A rift that would define the entire marriage, but that was just the setup. Think about what this means. Demi Moore had fought tooth and nail to stay sober. Sobriety was her identity. It was her survival. And Ashton, the man she trusted, casually suggested she could drink again. That moderation was possible. That maybe she'd been overreacting all these years. For someone as desperate to please him as Demi had become, it was a permission slip. And she took it. She started drinking again. Years of hard-won recovery unraveled. All because one man suggested it was okay, but that wasn't enough for Ashton. He had another plan. By this point, Ashton was fully immersed in the Hollywood party scene. More specifically, he was immersed in Diddy's circle. And Diddy's parties weren't just exclusive, they were operational. They were places where blackmail was gathered, where secrets were documented, where powerful men consolidated their control over the industry. And Ashton brought that energy into his marriage. Ashton demanded threesomes. Demi, desperate to keep her husband, complied. She rationalized it. She convinced herself it was what modern marriages did, what sophisticated people did, but what she didn't realize was that Ashton was weaponizing her compliance. He was creating a scenario where he could later justify infidelity, where his betrayals would be softened by the excuse. We already crossed that line together. And he was right when he cheated during Danny Masterson's bachelor party in San Diego. When Demi found out through a Google alert rather than hearing it from him, he had the audacity to say that because they'd done threesomes, his infidelity somehow didn't count as cheating. The logic was absurd. The cruelty was precise. Then came the second infidelity, and with it, the collapse of everything Demi had built her identity around. Demi Moore spiraled. Addiction, health scares, breakdowns. A woman who had rebuilt herself from the ground up suddenly shattered again. But here's the crucial part of her story, the moment where it connects to Brittany Murphy's death and everything that came after. As Demi began to piece together what had happened to her, she started connecting dots. She started asking questions about other women, and one name kept coming up: Brittany Murphy. Brittany Murphy had dated Ashton Kutcher in 2002. It was brief but intense. Intense enough that people thought they might get engaged. Intense enough that it ended abruptly and mysteriously, with Ashton moving on to Demi Moore almost immediately. A major power move that the media celebrated as a romantic upgrade. But what happened between Ashton and Brittany? Why did it end so suddenly? And more importantly, what did Brittany see in those months that frightened her?
I was around Ashton Kutcher and Diddy before, and they were speaking about Brittany Murphy. And I don't think I ever told this story, and I'm about to tell this story here.
Someone was in a room with Ashton and Diddy, and they were talking about Brittany, planning something, discussing something. The details were vague, but the implication was clear. These two powerful men were focused on Brittany Murphy. And then, within weeks or months, Brittany started changing. Her friends noticed it. Her family noticed it. She went from being the bubbly, charismatic actress everyone loved to someone paranoid, isolated, and terrified. This wasn't normal Hollywood paranoia. This was someone who genuinely believed her life was in danger. Someone who took extreme precautions to protect herself. And the reason? Brittany believed someone was poisoning her. She told friends. She told family. She expressed this fear repeatedly and consistently. This wasn't a passing thought. This was a conviction born from something she had witnessed or learned. But what did she know? Through Ashton, Brittany would have had access to Diddy's inner circle. Through Diddy, she would have learned about the parties, the legendary freak-off gatherings that were anything but glamorous. These were orchestrated operations, surveillance, exploitation, blackmail, sexual coercion, all documented, all weaponized. Her friends said she was difficult, but what if she wasn't difficult? What if she was being systematically pushed out of the industry because she knew too much? Brittany was terrified. She was isolated. She was in a home with two people, her mother Sharon and her husband Simon Monjack, both of whom had suspicious connections to what was happening. And then, in the early morning of December 20th, 2009, Brittany collapsed. Why would a husband block an autopsy? What was he afraid they would find? When the autopsy finally happened over legal objections, the cause of death was listed as pneumonia, anemia, and multiple drug intoxication. But the coroner was vague about the medications. Simon downplayed everything. He claimed there was nothing dangerous in the house, just herbal remedies and cough syrup. He was lying, because 5 months later, Simon Monjack died in the exact same house from the exact same causes. And his death can't be explained by pneumonia or anemia alone either. Two deaths. Same house, same timeline, same symptoms. 5 months apart. That's not coincidence. That's a pattern. For years, people tried to explain the mysterious deaths with theories. Black mold, drug overdoses, hidden heart conditions. None of it stuck. But then Brittany's father, Angelo Bertolotti, refused to accept the official story. He hired a private investigator, and what they uncovered was chilling, slow poisoning. Not a single act of violence. Not a dramatic poisoning that would be obvious, but a methodical, calculated process where toxic substances were introduced into Brittany's system over time, building up, accumulating, until her body could no longer sustain itself. This matches exactly what Brittany had feared, exactly what she had told people she believed was happening to her. The coroner never tested for heavy metal poisoning in the initial investigation. Why? Because they only check for specific poisons if there's reason to suspect them. But Brittany had literally told people she thought she was being poisoned. That was the reason. That was the evidence. And it was ignored, buried. And here's the truly sinister part. The same type of heavy metal poisoning has been whispered about in the case of Kim Porter, Diddy's longtime partner and mother of his children, who died in 2018 under similarly mysterious circumstances. Kim Porter, Brittany Murphy, two women connected to Diddy's world, two women who died under suspicious circumstances, two women who reportedly feared for their lives before they died. That's not a coincidence. That's a methodology. Diddy had a system, a way of handling women who knew too much, a way of making problems disappear without leaving obvious fingerprints. But what role did Ashton Kutcher play in all of this? Ashton Kutcher dated Brittany Murphy Murphy. He was part of the inner circle that included Diddy. He knew what was happening at those parties. And when Brittany died, when she was poisoned systematically over time, Ashton said nothing. No statement, no tribute, no acknowledgement of her death beyond what basic decency required. Just silence. The silence of someone complicit, someone who knew what was coming. Because Ashton didn't just participate in Diddy's world. According to Demi's revelations, he was fully embedded in it. He brought threesomes into his marriage because that's what Diddy's circle did. He questioned Demi's sobriety because that's the kind of control Diddy's circle exerted. He ran back to Brittany while married to Demi because that's the kind of power play Diddy's circle celebrated. Ashton wasn't an innocent bystander. He was a player in the game, and Brittany Murphy paid the price. But there's one more piece to this puzzle that makes it all even more sinister. The behavior of the people in the house that morning. Sharon Murphy lived there. She saw everything. She was present when Brittany became paranoid. When Brittany refused to eat unless Sharon prepared it. When Brittany fortified the house with surveillance cameras and fingerprint locks, Sharon knew her daughter was terrified. And yet, when Brittany died, Sharon backed up Simon's narrative. She echoed his claims that there was nothing dangerous in the house. She suggested Brittany might have had a hidden heart condition. But here's where it gets truly disturbing. After Brittany's death, Sharon and Simon grew uncomfortably close. There were whispers, never officially confirmed, but whispered nonetheless in Hollywood circles, of a romantic or codependent dynamic. A relationship that seemed inappropriate given that Sharon's daughter had just died. The mold theory was Sharon's explanation for both deaths. It was what she had promoted. It was her narrative. But the moment Simon died, she abandoned it completely. She sold the house. She moved on. Why would a mother stop fighting for answers about how her daughter died? Why would she abandon her narrative? Unless she already knew the truth, unless she was part of it. For nearly 2 decades, this case was closed. Brittany Murphy's death was written off as tragic but natural. The conspiracy remained hidden. The poisoning went unacknowledged. The pattern went unrecognized. But then Diddy got arrested, and suddenly everything changed. The federal investigation into Diddy isn't just about It's not just about the freak-off parties. It's about every crime Diddy touched, every person connected to him, every death that happened in his orbit. And someone in Diddy's trial said something they shouldn't have. A slip, a revelation, evidence of a cover-up. Evidence that the initial investigation into Brittany's death was compromised, buried, directed away from the truth, which means there's evidence. Somewhere in the investigative files, somewhere in the records, somewhere in the testimony. There's proof of what really happened, and the feds have it.
Think, well, okay, who gained from her dying?
There were more unanswered questions after the autopsy came out than there were.
Who benefited from Brittany Murphy's death? Diddy benefited from silencing someone who knew about his parties. Ashton benefited from eliminating someone who had seen his worst behavior, his deepest secrets. Simon benefited from inheriting her wealth and property. And Sharon? Sharon benefited from whatever arrangement she had made with Simon. Everyone in that house had something to gain. Now the question is whether Ashton Kutcher realized the heat was coming for him. Because if Diddy goes down, if Diddy's trial exposes connections to Brittany's death, then Ashton is implicated. Ashton's role in Diddy's inner circle becomes part of the record. Ashton's behavior with other women, his pattern of manipulation and control, his participation in those parties, all of it becomes evidence. The pieces are falling into place. The federal investigation is expanding. The connections are being mapped. And Ashton Kutcher, the man who manipulated Demi Moore, who dated Brittany Murphy before she died under suspicious circumstances, who was part of Diddy's toxic inner circle, who remained silent when she was poisoned, Ashton Kutcher is about to face the consequences. He's about to join Diddy in prison. Nearly 2 decades. That's how long Brittany Murphy's death has haunted Hollywood. Nearly 2 decades of unanswered questions. Nearly 2 decades of a mother who knew too much. Nearly 2 decades of a pattern that went unrecognized. But now, Demi Moore has broken her silence. She's connected the dots between her own abuse at Ashton's hands and the systematic poisoning of a young actress. She's exposed the connection between Ashton and Diddy. She's laid out the pattern of control, manipulation, and elimination that defines their world. And the feds are listening. Brittany Murphy deserves justice. Not the sanitized official version of events, not the pneumonia and anemia narrative. Real justice. The truth. And it looks like she's finally going to get it. Ashton Kutcher, Diddy, Sharon Murphy, Simon Monjack. All of it is coming out. The poisoning, the cover-up, the silencing, the pattern. And when it does, when the truth is finally exposed, Hollywood will never be the same. Because this isn't just about one actress's tragic death. This is about a system, a machine, a methodology for eliminating women who knew too much. Brittany Murphy was the first, but the feds are looking now, and they're going to find all of them. What do you think? Do you believe Ashton Kutcher was involved in Brittany Murphy's death? Do you think the feds will find enough to charge him? Let me know in the comments. And if you haven't already, subscribe to stay updated on this developing story, because when Ashton is arrested, you're going to want to know.